Okay, range time with the FN Reflex. Before we get too far along, I want to thank my friends at Delaware Tactical for the loan of this gun so that I could do this review. So FN has thrown their hat into the tiny 90 category, and they've patterned a small pistol that is somewhere, I think, kind of right in between the SIG P365 and the Springfield Armory Hellcat. It's almost exactly like both of those, but different than either of them. All right, here's a quick look at the obvious competition for the Reflex. So up here we have the Hellcat, and this is the regular sized Hellcat. And then down here we have the P365, and again, the regular sized P365. So these are all the sort of standard model versions of each one of these guns. And just right here, you can see that they're all extremely similar in size and overall configuration. So let's look a little bit closer, maybe from the top of each of them. Get them evened up here from the back best I can. You can see the FN is maybe by a whisker the longest of them all, with the SIG being the shortest, and then the Hellcat being right in between. But that overall difference from even the SIG to the FN is about a ½ inch. Not much. Height-wise, you can see that it looks like the FN is the one in the middle here in terms of overall height. But they're all extremely close again, certainly from shortest to tallest within a ½ inch. There's one thing distinctively different about the Reflex in the middle. There is no back cover plate on the slide. We'll talk about that. All of these guns are available with different types of magazines. These each have the sort of little pinky finger magazine on them with that base plate. You can get flat magazines for them, and also, like we have right here for the FN, you can get the extended magazines as well. And that's pretty much the same across the board. Configurations, again, very similar. They all know, folks, who they're competing against. So none of these guys are working in a vacuum. So when FN designed the Reflex, they knew full well it was going to be compared to the P365 and the Hellcat. These guys know who their competition is, and they have a pretty good idea where they are among their competition. So these are very, very similar guns. The big, giant difference to me, and again, I have not yet shot this FN. You'll see me in this video do that. You either have already seen me do it or you will. The really big difference between these three guns with the FN Reflex, as I hinted to, is there is no striker plate because there's no striker. This is a hammer-fired gun. It's got an internal hammer, and that hammer is a flat hammer, and it takes up about the back 5/8 of an inch or so of the frame. And in the slide where you would have your striker, the rear end of your striker, is just empty. What that gives you is a very nice, crisp trigger pull. It does have 11 round capacity in the small magazine, and there is an extended magazine that'll hold 15. It also has a sleeve, so it'll be flush with the grip. All right, so I'm just going to take some first shots with this gun and just go down my steel array downrange and tell you what I think of it while I'm shooting it. So right off the bat, I push it out and I see a really nice set of sights. And my first shot is a hit. Second shot's a miss. It's small, so you're going to feel some recoil, but it's not too bad. So that was 10 out of the 11 round magazine. All right, got the gauge out. This is the Lyman digital gauge. And I'm going to check the trigger pull. 4 pounds, 3 ounces. Let's do a few and take an average. Wow. 3 pounds, 13.8 ounces. And 3 pounds, 15.4, so almost at 4. The average of those three is almost exactly 4 pounds. So it is a light and crisp trigger. But as you can see, even though it's hammer fired, it is single action only. The extended magazine is definitely providing a fuller grip, so those of you with the bigger paws are probably going to like that, although obviously that does make the gun a lot harder to conceal carry because that is the most important dimension. If it were me, and it often is, I carry with the small magazine in the gun. This is my backup. So this is a hammer fired gun, not a striker fired gun, which definitely distinguishes it. Seems to favor a center hold. The trigger feels really nice. Really, really nice. Super crisp and light. The FN grip pattern, the stippling, especially on the front strap and the back strap, is the same as they've been using forever. It's not my favorite, but on this gun, for some reason, it seems to work better on this smaller pistol than it does on the bigger handguns. So the stippling and the grip texture overall is really good. Okay, I got a target 12 yards down range, and I just want to see where the point of aim is, and I want to see how well I can shoot this gun offhand. So 10 rounds of Federal 115 grain ball is what I'm shooting. This is a consistent problem so far with this gun. At least 2 different magazines, maybe 3, but at least 2 different magazines. That last round, so the follower is locking the slide back prematurely. All right, so there's my 10 rounds. I'd like to see a better group than that, but you know, my first group with a gun I haven't shot before, that's not too bad. Okay, just for some context, fresh target, Hellcat. So I just want to see for myself and also for you, if I'm just having an off day where I'm not shooting a good group, or if I shoot the Hellcat, which I know I shoot pretty well, better than I shoot the FN or vice versa. So a bit of a comparison without really being an all-out comparison. 10 rounds, same ammo, Federal 115 grain ball. All right, so that was the comparison with the Hellcat group. Again, just to put something in context. Now, one caveat or disclaimer is that I have the Apex trigger in the Hellcat, so a little bit different feel than the stock trigger. Maybe it makes a little difference, maybe it doesn't. I like to think it probably does, because otherwise, why would I have put it in there, right? And speaking of Apex, real quickly, just to plug my new affiliate code and link with Apex, look down below in the video description with all my different links and codes, and you'll see that there's a new one for Apex Tactical. So you can save 10%, which is a pretty good deal. All right, well now you guys got me doing comparisons, so might as well finish it up. This is the SIG P365. The only thing different than right out of the box is the Talon grip. Hellcat had a Talon grip on it too. And if this FM belonged to me, which it doesn't, it would have a Talon grip on it very soon too, but it's a loaner. All right, so just to see where the FN Reflex falls between the Hellcat and the P365, for me, might as well finish out the comparison with the P365. Same distance, fresh target, same ammo. All right, there's those 10. Holy cow, I'm all over the place with this. So that is, let me run down, look. That's the SIG P365, and that might be the worst group of the three. Definitely not the best. Now, I did try the holsters that I have for the P365 and for the Hellcat. I have different brands for each. None of them are a perfect fit for the FN. In fact, the FN would not fit all the way into those holsters. There is interference. The geometries are not quite what they need to be for it to be a match. But one of my go-to holsters is, of course, the DeSantis pocket holster, and it does fit perfectly in that. I mean, real perfectly. So that is certainly a good option. And you can see it here with an extended magazine, which is very obvious with the black base plate and sleeve. If you have the small magazine in there, it's definitely a pocket carry gun. There's no doubt about it. The magazines for the P365 and the magazines for the Hellcat will both go into the FN Reflex. They both look like they're going to work. The Hellcat magazines, I believe, will actually latch. Like they will go in and click into place, but they will not lock the slide back. So that's not quite perfect. The follower's not in the right place, or it's configured differently. The P365 magazines, I couldn't get it to latch into place. They wouldn't click home into place, but they do fit. I mean, they go up in there, they look like they should work fine, but they don't. So if you're wondering about that, that's what I observed. I would not try to run this gun with anybody's magazines other than FN's. And speaking of running this gun with FN magazines, I think I will. Oh, a little bit of a hiccup loading that round. So what I like a lot is the trigger. What I like second best is the sights. The sights are really, really good. It's a little snappy, but to be expected. I don't think it's really any more so than, say, the P365. Of the three guns that I'm comparing as part of this review, I think the Hellcat is the softest. This FN Reflex feels pretty much like the P365 in terms of recoil. All right, got all the way through the magazine, even the last round that time. Could be a break-in issue. I'm not sure. Magazine release button was a little sticky right there. Not working quite as nicely as it was. Feels very gritty. Can you hear that? So, another question mark. Okay, wrapping it up with the Reflex from FN. This one, I'm feeling kind of 50-50 about. I like the gun in terms of fit and finish. I like, that they finally have come out with the Me Too Micro 9, but they're not inventing anything new here that we didn't already have. We've already have guns on the market that are this small that have really proven themselves pretty well, I think, in the field. And they brought the hammer-fired action in the Reflex to the game, which is different, and I like it. I like it a lot. The trigger feels fantastic. It is light, super crisp. Great. I mean, for a hammer, you're not feeling any of what you would expect to feel in terms of a little bit of over travel, in terms of a little bit of a spongy take up. It is really, really ultra crisp. So they did a fantastic job there. They've equipped it with a nice set of sights. It's a well thought out gun. It's just got a couple of issues that I've encountered today. I've only put a couple hundred rounds through it. So, that's not a huge test, but the magazine release intermittently is difficult to operate, and it gets. Let's see right now there's a grittiness that kind of comes and goes in the mag release, and depending on where you push the button, it can be difficult to get the magazine to release. All right, right there. I'm pushing. I'm putting the pressure more toward the front part of the button, the big part of the teardrop. It's not doing anything at all. I'm pushing hard. But if I come back, then it'll release. So it's a little quirky in terms of the magazine release. You would have to do a lot of reps, I think, to feel comfortable. Or I would have to do a lot of reps to feel comfortable with that control. And if you ever needed to reload in an emergency, it's going to be important. The other thing that I had a problem with today, as you saw, several times with at least 2 different magazines, extended and regular size, the 11 round and the 15 round, we had stoppages where that last round just didn't want to play. So I think the follower is locking the slide back prematurely. Well, obviously it is, but bottom line is, right now, I'm not sure it's ready for prime time, because this is designed and marketed to be a carry gun. What else would you use this for, right? So this is a carry gun, concealed carry. So when it comes to a personal protection gun, a concealed carry gun, this early in the game to have malfunctions and problems, stoppages and things like that, is a bit concerning. Okay, so bottom line is, this is a really nice gun. I like it a lot. I like what they've done with the design. I love the trigger. It's fantastic. I love that they thought hammer fired was better instead of striker fired, especially in a tiny little gun like this, with the internal hammer. There's a lot of advantages there. I just have to hold back a little bit on its performance today at the range. I didn't shoot it bad, but I didn't shoot it best of the guns in its class. And with the stoppages, the malfunctions, and this weird activity with the magazine release, I have questions. So something maybe to revisit down the road. I know that my friends at Delaware Tactical are going to put a crap load of rounds through this gun. They are going to vet it out. And maybe when they're done, maybe I'll look at it again if they say they've broken everything in. So I'm open-minded about it, but as it is today, it's a good gun. If you're looking for another small gun to play with at the range, this would be fun. I'm not going to recommend it yet for concealed carry.